The Pittsburgh Steelers enter the 2026 offseason facing a clear and pressing challenge, improving a defense that, despite being the most expensive unit in the National Football League last season, delivered results that were far below expectations. For an organization that has historically built its identity around elite defensive play, the overall performance of the unit in 2025 raised concerns both internally and among analysts across the league. While the defense still showed flashes of the aggressive and opportunistic style that Steelers fans have come to expect, the statistical production told a story of inconsistency, vulnerability, and an urgent need for upgrades. From a financial standpoint, the Steelers committed more resources to their defense than any other team in the league during the 2025 season. That level of investment created high expectations that the unit would dominate opponents and consistently carry the team through difficult matchups. Instead, the results placed Pittsburgh somewhere in the middle tier of NFL defenses. The unit ranked 17th in points allowed per game, surrendering an average of 22.8 points each week. While that figure is not disastrous, it falls short of the elite standard the franchise traditionally aims for. The numbers become even more concerning when looking at total yardage allowed. Pittsburgh finished the season ranked 26th in yards allowed per game, giving up an average of 356.9 yards to opposing offenses. That figure placed the Steelers among the league's weakest defenses in terms of preventing sustained drives and limiting offensive production. For a team that prides itself on physicality and discipline on the defensive side of the ball, allowing that much yardage represented a significant step backward. Despite those struggles, there was one area where the Steelers' defense excelled, generating turnovers. The unit finished in the top 5 in the NFL in takeaways, recording a total of 27 throughout the season. Those turnovers played a critical role in several victories and often masked the underlying issues the defense faced in terms of yardage and consistency. Without those game-changing takeaways, Pittsburgh's defensive numbers could have looked even worse. Turnovers, however, are often difficult to rely on from year to year. Because of that reality, the Steelers front office understands that structural improvements must be made if the defense is going to return to elite form. The organization will likely use both the 2026 NFL Draft and the free agency market as tools to strengthen key areas of the roster. One of the most obvious areas that could undergo significant changes during the offseason is the secondary. The defensive backfield experienced a number of ups and downs throughout the 2025 season, and the unit now faces uncertainty as multiple contributors prepare to test the free agent market. Two cornerbacks who played meaningful roles last season, James Pierre and Asante Samuel Jr., are both expected to hit free agency. The potential loss of either player could create serious depth concerns for Pittsburgh, and losing both would leave a significant void in the secondary. James Pierre, in particular, emerged as one of the more surprising success stories of the Steelers' defense last season. Entering the year without widespread recognition as a top-tier cornerback, Pierre quickly proved that he belonged among the league's most reliable defensive backs. Over the course of the season, he demonstrated strong coverage ability, improved awareness in zone schemes, and the physicality necessary to compete against the NFL's best receivers. Although Pierre's breakout campaign came within a relatively limited sample size, his performance was strong enough to elevate his reputation around the league. Opposing quarterbacks began to avoid targeting him more frequently as the season progressed, which is often one of the clearest indicators that a cornerback is performing at a high level. Because of that strong showing, Pierre is expected to draw interest from multiple teams once free agency officially opens. If another franchise offers him a lucrative contract, the Steelers could face a difficult decision regarding whether to match that offer or allow him to leave in order to preserve salary cap flexibility. Asante Samuel Jr. presents a slightly different situation but is still an important factor in the Steelers' offseason plans. Samuel joined the team midway through the 2025 season after recovering from injuries that had sidelined him earlier in the year. The Steelers moved quickly to sign him as soon as he was medically cleared to return to action, believing that his skill set could provide an immediate boost to their secondary. During his time in Pittsburgh, Samuel showed flashes of the playmaking ability that made him a highly regarded defensive back earlier in his career. He recorded several important pass breakups and made a few momentum-shifting plays that helped stabilize the defense during key moments. While Samuel's time with the Steelers was relatively brief, his experience and athletic ability could still make him an appealing option for teams looking to add veteran depth at cornerback. As a result, there is a real possibility that he could receive offers from other organizations in free agency. If the Steelers failed to retain either Pierre or Samuel, the depth chart at cornerback would suddenly look far thinner. In that scenario, Pittsburgh would enter the offseason with Brandon Echols and star defensive back Joey Porter Jr. as the only experienced cornerbacks currently under contract, assuming that veteran Jalen Ramsey continues operating primarily at the safety position as he did late last season. That situation would make adding another starting caliber cornerback a top priority for the front office. Fortunately for the Steelers, several intriguing options could become available on the free agent market. Steelers beat writer Ray Fittipaldo recently offered his perspective on one potential target who could make sense for Pittsburgh, former Cleveland Browns cornerback Greg Newsome too. Fittipaldo suggested that signing Newsome could be a logical move for the Steelers, particularly because of the versatility he brings to the defensive backfield. Signing someone like Greg Newsome, a former first-round pick of the Cleveland Browns who was traded to Jacksonville midway through last season, would make sense, Fittipaldo wrote. An added bonus for Newsome, he can play outside and in the slot. The versatility would give the Steelers some flexibility in which corners they'll target in the draft. That versatility is a major reason why Newsome could be such an attractive option for Pittsburgh. Modern NFL defenses increasingly rely on defensive backs who can line up in multiple positions depending on the situation. A corner who can effectively play both on the outside and in the slot allows defensive coordinators to adjust their schemes without needing constant substitutions. Throughout his NFL career, Newsome has demonstrated the ability to handle both roles. According to various snap count metrics, he has logged more than 1,000 defensive snaps as a slot cornerback while also playing more than 2,000 snaps on the outside. That level of positional experience is relatively rare and could provide the Steelers with valuable flexibility. Adding Newsome to the roster would also influence how the Steelers approach the 2026 NFL Draft. Many draft analysts currently project Pittsburgh to select a defensive back within the first 3 rounds. If the team signs a versatile player like Newsome, it could allow the front office to focus on the best available defensive back regardless of whether that prospect is primarily a slot corner or an outside corner. Newsome entered the league as a highly regarded prospect after being selected in the first round of the NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns out of Northwestern University. During his college career, he was widely praised for his combination of size, athleticism, and fluid coverage skills. Scouts believed he possessed the physical traits necessary to match up against the NFL's most talented wide receivers. During his time in Cleveland, Newsome became an important component of the Browns' defensive system. His length and speed allowed him to contest passes effectively, while his instincts enabled him to read routes and anticipate quarterback decisions. In the middle of the 2025 season, Newsome was traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars as Cleveland began reshaping its roster and preparing for future salary cap decisions. Because his contract was set to expire at the end of the season, the Browns opted to move him rather than risk losing him without receiving any compensation. Now 25 years old, Newsome is entering what many consider to be the prime years of a defensive back's career. Players at his position often combine peak athletic ability with several years of professional experience around this stage of their careers, making them especially valuable on the open market. For the Steelers, signing Newsome would not only address a potential hole in the secondary but also provide critical support for Joey Porter Jr., who has quickly established himself as one of the cornerstones of Pittsburgh's defense. Porter Jr. delivered a breakout performance last season, showcasing the physical style of play that Steelers fans have long admired in their defensive backs. His ability to disrupt receivers at the line of scrimmage and compete aggressively for the football made him one of the most promising young corners in the league. As Porter Jr. prepares to enter the final year of his rookie contract, the Steelers are expected to begin negotiations on a long-term extension that could keep him in Pittsburgh for years to come. Given his importance to the defense and his continued development as a shutdown corner, he is widely expected to command a substantial contract. Securing Porter Jr. as a long-term piece of the defense will likely be one of the organization's top priorities this offseason. However, ensuring that he has strong support in the secondary will also be crucial to maintaining the defense's overall effectiveness. Adding another reliable cornerback like Greg Newsome too could significantly reduce the pressure placed on Porter Jr. each week. When defenses have multiple capable cornerbacks, opposing quarterbacks are forced to spread their attention rather than simply targeting weaker matchups. There is also a strategic element to consider during contract negotiations. If the Steelers can demonstrate a commitment to building a strong defensive unit around Porter Jr., it could strengthen their position during extension talks. Players often value the opportunity to compete on competitive teams, and constructing a high-quality secondary could help convince Porter Jr. that Pittsburgh remains the best place for his long-term future. Regardless of how those negotiations unfold, one fact remains clear: the Steelers' secondary could benefit from additional talent and depth. After a season in which the defense struggled to consistently limit opposing offenses, reinforcing the defensive backfield will likely be one of the front office's primary objectives. If Pittsburgh ultimately decides to pursue Greg Newsome too in free agency, the move could represent an important step toward restoring the defensive identity that has defined the franchise for decades. By pairing Newsome with Porter Jr. and reinforcing the secondary through the draft, the Steelers could begin building a more balanced and resilient defense capable of returning to elite status in the seasons ahead. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.